Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, we'll be discussing about the migration categories. There are seven migration categories discussed in AWS, and there are five different categories discussed in Azure. Irrespective of what, we will be discussing about all those seven migration categories. You should be aware of these categories before we go into the planning phase. So first one, it's the rehost. Basically, like Rehost covers the simple application. Let's assume that you have a application that uses the IaaS to run your web application, and that will be a database. So you all you need to do is that you have to identify the list of servers. In this case, like your front end virtual machine and your backend the database virtual machine, and you can deploy those virtual machine in cloud, and you're good to go. So basically the thing here it's that it's some minimal changes because we are not actually making any change. We are just moving these virtual machine from on-prem to Azure. uh, but basically, like by doing so, you are not leveraging the cloud native benefits. But this is the first option. Option number two, it's like a replatform. So the same case, instead of migrating your SQL virtual machine, let's make use of a SQL database like that is part of Azure or any other, cloud. Like all the cloud providers provide a SQL database, so you can leverage that. So in this case, you will just migrate your virtual machine, like the front end virtual machine, but rather than migrating the back end virtual machine, you will be leveraging the cloud resource, in this case, Azure SQL database. So by doing so, uh, still like the amount of changes, it's less, but there is definitely going to be a bit of a work here, right? Because like you are going to migrate your database from your on-prem to cloud. This works perfectly fine as long as the size it's not in TBs, right? It's going to be pretty straightforward. Still, like it's not we are not still completely leveraging the cloud benefits, right? And let's move forward. Refactor. In this case, like uh, we might not only the database, but for the application, instead of migrating the virtual machine, we will leverage the cloud resource, in this case Kubernetes. So we will create a Kubernetes cluster and migrate your application as a application in Kubernetes, right? So as a cluster, you can have hundreds and thousands of application. You can host in Kubernetes. So just to take your application, move it to Kubernetes. So in this case, we are not migrating both the virtual machines, the database as well as the front end virtual machine. We are not migrating database. We will be using the database service. For the front end, we will be using the Kubernetes. So in this case, we are leveraging the cloud benefits, right? But the problem here is that like not necessarily all the application will be compatible with Kubernetes. So definitely you have to do a bit of modification with respect to your application that needs to go through a testing process and all those. It definitely takes bit of a time. uh, the next one, it's a rebuild. So rather than like just making changes here and there to to so that like you can migrate your application to Kubernetes, it's like completely rebuild your application, right? Which means that it is definitely going to take a lot of effort. So what you will do, like you will have your on-prem application running. Parallelly, you will be building your replacement application. Once the replacement application it's up and run, then you will be decommissioning your on-prem application. That is the option. And the repurchase, let's assume that there are products that you may own, like in your on-prem, you may be having on-prem CRM that you can replace with the cloud-based services. In this case, Microsoft Dynamics. So it can be anything, right? So You really don't have to run your products on prem. Rather, like, you just go and purchase the cloud version of that. They call it as a SaaS product, software as a service. You know, that will greatly reduce your infrastructure cost, because like you're not going to run the application by itself. It's basically like a pay as go kind of a pattern that we are looking at. And the other one, it's a retain. Let's assume that you have a kind of a legacy application. There is no reason to migrate to cloud. You know that this is going to be decommissioned in some time. This is the just to do, just to provide some basic support. So just retain this application for a period of time, and then like replace this application with something else. And retire, like, not necessarily. When you do actually like the inventory, you will realize that there is there are applications that nobody uses. It's just there, as nobody touches, right? So those kind of application you can definitely retire. So this is one of the option. So basically, like, by knowing all these categories, in the planning phase we are going to discuss about application workload, inventory, and all those. When you have an inventory, right, so you have to decide, basically, like, you have to categorize, hey, this particular application falls under rehost or platform or whatever is that, right? Just categorize, and you will pick up a specific category for your initial migration, right? So you don't want to mix and match one rehost and couple of replatform, couple of refactor. You don't want to do that. You have to create a kind of accelerator, right? So like, pick up the same category of application, just have a accelerator. For instance, like rehost, just create an accelerator. These people only know how to rehost, how to handle the rehost process, right? So just do that. That will greatly reduce your overall runway, and greatly reduce your cost. That's all we have for this particular video. We will discuss about planning in the next video.